This year, for Black History Month, 11th grade has decided to represent a well-known influential African American. You might have heard the name Booker T. Washington, a great man in the African American history, who chose to try and augment the position of African Americans economically and financially.
Booker T. Washington was an American author, educator, and orator who was considered as one of the most influential and prominent individuals in the African American community during the late 1800s. Although he was born into slavery, he was known for his prime maneuvers like being the founder of Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute along with being the advisor of former presidents. After being freed from slavery, he rose to become a leading African American intellectual of the 19th century.
And one great quote by Booker T. Washington is, "Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life, as by the obstacles which he has overcome." And by this quote, he's trying to say that in the 1800s and 1900s, many people were born into privileged families, or like at least racially equal families that had high positions in the government, and their jobs, and in their like town. But in his life as an African American, he was often segregated, and he didn't really get equal justice as the others. So, but he's trying to say that when you have obstacles in life, it is that's more of success than just being born into a position. Early life and education of Booker T. Washington. So Washington was born on April 5th in 1856 as a slave. He was, in fact, also the last generation to be born into slavery before more African Americans were given rights after the Civil War. When he was only 9 years old, he was free from slavery. Booker was really interested in in studies, despite the circumstances forcing him to work in the coal mine. Whenever he got a chance, he grabbed the book and sat on the side to read. He also attended Hampton Institute, a newly established normal school for African Americans at Tuskegee.
Ideologies. Ideologies are basically a system of ideas and ideals, especially one that forms the basis of economic or political theory and policy. So, what were Booker T. Washington's ideologies? He believed that African Americans should accommodate to segregation and not worry about overturning segregation laws. He wanted to achieve vocational skills rather than agitate for social equality. He submitted to segregation as long as given vocational training in public schools, and also the one and only Atlanta Compromise. Atlanta Compromise was a speech that was given by Booker T. Washington. It was delivered to a large white audience. The message was that he suggested African Americans should not agitate for political and social equality, but should instead work hard, earn respect, and acquire vocational training in order to participate in the economic development of the South.
Political point of view. Booker T. Washington was a Republican who sought to define the best means post-Civil War to improve the conditions of the African American community through education. Washington worked and socialized with many national white politicians and industry leaders. He established a propensity to convince wealthy whites, many of them self-made individuals, by appealing to their beliefs to financially contribute to black causes. He also privately contributed substantial funds for legal challenges to segregation and disfranchisement.
Booker T. Washington had many achievements throughout his lifetime, but three of the main ones are that he founded the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute, which is now known as worldwide as Tuskegee University. He also founded the National Business League of 1900 to help his fellow African American friends create better businesses and prosper in the economy. And from Harvard University, he received an honorary master's degree to acknowledge his great impact on the society.
Death and legacy. Booker T. Washington died in Tuskegee, Alabama on November 14, 1945. While being regarded as a complex man throughout his lifetime, Washington left behind a more controversial legacy. Washington believed education will provide potential for advancement and racial equality for many disadvantaged African Americans. He provided a valuable alternative to the more elite degree in the liberal arts for those who did not have the resources or educational background to attend college. His more enduring legacy is his vision of education as the key to true individual freedom and achievement.